This is one of our kids from December. Amazingly, they've survived with no issues. There's two more of them right over there. There's another one right there. They've done very well. Good morning. I'm down in the pasture with the goats. We're going to do a little quick goat update. A day or so ago, I got some different video of them when the sun was out a little bit. And so this morning, I'm just going to kind of take you around and show you where we're going with them and why, and kind of go back into what we've been working on in order to get them to this position. So we're down here in the pasture. Just wanted to give you some brief shots of how they're doing and how they're getting close to kidding time. It is approximately 3 weeks, 2 3/4 weeks away from when they should start kidding. So we're getting close. As you can see from some of the goats, they're starting to look like they're bred. I've noticed there's not as many that look heavy bred. Don't know if they're just going to breed a little bit later in the cycle, or kid a little bit later in the cycle, or if maybe they didn't get bred the first time. That's what's so amazing to me with goats, is that unlike cattle, fertility in goats doesn't really seem to be an issue. So I don't worry a whole lot about that. I just kind of let nature do its thing. They still haven't been messed up a whole lot, kind of like the cattle have. I'm going to get some nasty emails on that, I guarantee you. But, you know, it's hard for people to defend that cattle have kind of been raised in such a way that if we don't raise them that way, it's real hard for them to be fertile. And they were created to be fertile and multiply. So at some point in there, we've managed to change how they function. So the goats still haven't reached that point. They haven't been changed yet. At least the majority of them have not. So anyway, I hate to get off on that topic, but I'm going to show you kind of where we are with them and where we're fixing to head. They're fixing to start kidding here pretty soon. So we'll head down to the next paddock. Just a real brief tip. The skid steers with the heavy-duty brush cutters can really be advantageous both in expense and time, which oftentimes are related. If you need to clear like this was an old single wire electric fence line, and so all of the trees were no more than 6-inch diameter. Really, they were probably, the majority were about 3. And so it worked really well. It worked really fast. And that's what we're using to clear the bulk of these lines that we're putting in to make our splits. If we have to clear trees, we're using that heavy-duty mower that goes on the front of a skid steer. This is the fence that we've almost got complete for our goats. You can see how we've done the electric as an offset, and it's about 10 to 12 inches high, and it's offset about 12 inches. So that's going to be our perimeter fence for this paddock. And this paddock, we're trying to get ready, and we're going to make it. This is where we want to put our goats when they start kidding. And that's mainly because it's going to be smaller. It's going to have less brush. And so that's going to make it easier on us, on the goats, and on the dogs. You know, from what you've seen in the past on some of our videos, the goats, our goats, tend to split up whenever we get a storm or, you know, anything like that. And they also split up when they start kidding. And so we're trying to curtail that by getting them in a smaller pasture. Now, that's not the only reason. The smaller pastures are also going to allow us to rotate properly and hopefully control the parasite load a little bit better. So all of that's going to go together. This is one part that we have left to do. This is going to be a water gap, and it's going to go across this creek from this brace here across the creek to the other side. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm pretty sure. I'm going to probably put panels on a cable and let them swing. That's what I've done on all the rest of them, and they seem to work pretty well. This is where they'll drink, and this is the one thing we have left to do along with the water gap, is we got to go ahead and replace our old electric fence brace, or our electric fence period. There it is. And it's got to come around in a square. It's got to go over here, and it's got to go back to the left and then tie into the other side. I'll probably end up doing this with the net fence because I'll end up potentially put more pressure on them in here, and so I'd like to have a little bit sturdier fence. That goes for both goats and cattle, because this is going to be good for both species. So it's kind of a double whammy there. It's been something that I needed to do for the cattle for some time in here, and just so happens we got goats now, and so it's going to be beneficial for them too. So I'm able to plan kind of for both of them. So this water lot will be the last thing, and then we will be complete. It shouldn't take very long to do it and the water gap, and then we're good to go. We'll move on to that next section where I already started clearing with the heavy brush mower and the skid steer. So I'm excited to get the kidding started, and I'm really excited to get them in here and test these fences and see if they work.